That's probably why.
Yeah, exactly.
It's probably slow.
Yeah. I can't find anything under the settings to help me.
It's all good. We got there 7 people on right now.
Oh, good. Early birds.
Yep. Trying to see if there's anything else I need.
Motion to dismiss, so I'd be ready to talk about it.
Oh, good. Yeah, because I was gonna look at you anyway, because I was like, you're the lawyer. Like, you probably know more about this than I was.
Yeah.
There he is.
Hey, Blake.
Hello.
What, you didn't feel like using your new microphone tonight?
Oh, it's right here, my friends.
Oh, okay. There you go. Oh, you do sound good.
Yeah.
Hey, guys.
Hey,
oh, back from the tennis match already.
My gosh.
We had to postpone because the opponents had stomach flu or some excuse.
Oh, yeah, you don't want that.
Knew who they were up against tonight. They're like, nope, we're out.
Yeah, that's true.
What's going on, gentlemen?
How's it going?
Good, Nick. Good.
Hey, Nick.
Good. How are you?
I think everything's going all right.
I thought we were getting
Carrie's here too.
Guest of the elusive third member of Breaking Bourbon, Eric, at some point.
There's even a shout out to him there.
Yeah, I'm still not sure he exists.
I want to go ahead and warn you guys, this podcast is probably going to suck because I'm going sober tonight.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Fair warning.
Oh, man. Well, it's okay.
I meant from my standpoint, not from like the entire thing.
The entire thing's going downhill.
Right. I meant my contribution will probably stink.
Yeah, this is how it all starts. It all goes downhill from here.
Yeah.
You can get a few in you. You can get a few in you. We're not starting for 2 minutes, right?
I mean, I just started, so.
Yeah, same here.
Carrie won't be giving away any Pappy tonight, then.
No, for sure. Well, I mean, we got everybody here. We can wait another minute or two. We only got, I think, 12 people on so far.
It's jumped up to 17.
17. Oh, yeah, I got to see 15 now. Okay. So we'll give it
Is Ryan coming?
I don't know. I talked to him yesterday. I told him about it, but I have no idea. He's always there he is. As I say, he's always a curveball. I don't know if he ever was or not. Hey, Ryan.
Howdy.
Right, guy.
What's up, Ryan?
Hey, guys.
How's it going?
Carrie, you made it from your tennis match.
Yeah, we didn't play.
Let's say it's hotter than hell.
Yeah, but it wasn't by our choice. But so instead, we're going to play Sunday at like 3:30, just when it's like 100 degrees out.
Yeah, I was going to say just in time to die from heat exhaustion.
Look, this is what I'm drinking tonight.
What, agua?
Agua.
Start hydrating for Sunday now.
I actually have a lot coming up this week. I got poker Thursday night, and got another buddy coming over Wednesday night. You know, just stuff, just requirements, just
all kinds of activities. Your time is in such high demand.
I know. It's kind of a big deal. Actually, everybody likes to come over because they don't want to drink my good bourbon. So
yeah, that's why I get invited to like 90% of the places I go to. People just want me to bring good bourbon with.
Right?
Yeah,
so
they want the bottles.
Like Buffalo Trace. They're like,
could just as easily just send bottles and would never get another invite the rest of my life.
Saw some. What were you drinking the other night, Blake? There, you posted a picture on Instagram.
Oh, the Jefferson 17.
Yeah, barrel proof.
Yeah,
barrel proof.
So this retailer down here, he's done a ton of Jefferson's barrels. I mean, every year for probably the last 8 or 9 years at least, and he buys a ton of them. So he had tried to get one of the JPS 18s. I think they did a few non-chill filtered. He tried to get one of those, and then he tried to get one barrel proof, but they were sold out. And so Trey sent him that bottle, said, well, I couldn't get you the barrel, but here's, kind of a gift. It's barrel proof, 17 year. And what?
They give it to you?
No. It's a store in Northeast Florida called Browdy's. and he sent it to the owner, Barry. And
Oh, okay, you got to try it.
Yeah, I got to try it yesterday. It was pretty crazy. Which he just has. Yeah, I swear everything tastes better at his tasting room at the store because there's just all these bottles lined up around everywhere. Just crazy stuff he's gotten over the year. He had done like a 13-year Eagle Rare pick back in, I think it was 2009 or so. He said they just couldn't give it away, so he got a 13-year pick. So some really cool stuff.
So is that basically barrel-proof Stitzel Weller?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like Michters 20 in the old days?
Mm-hmm.
So this isn't like a recent bottling, then this is something that he's been holding on for a while.
He's been sitting on it for who knows how long. It's not something new.
So is that up there?
I've eyed it the last few times I've been in there, and I was like, yeah. So what's the deal with this one again?
Sounds like me at Kenny's house.
Drop
Like,
the hint. Yeah.
So is that up there, Blake, in what you've had? I mean, is that
It definitely was. I mean, it was pretty unbelievable, really. But I don't know. It's hard to say. All that stuff is so good when you hit that level. The last time I was there, he pulled out the original Pappy 23 decanter, and I almost think that was a little bit better. But you're splitting hairs.
You're influenced by seeing that, right?
Yeah. That you bring out this huge box set. Actually, he had the 25-year, but unopened. So I got to pull it out of the box. That box probably weighed 20 pounds by itself. I think it was massive.
I thought that was yours.
No, I wish. Couldn't talk him into that one.
Yeah.
So Ryan's got a pretty good story. What he came across, last weekend or something like that?
Yeah, this past weekend, I was at a member guest in Owensboro, and I just went in to look at the bar, see what they had. And on the top left corner, they had a bottle of vintage rye 21. And I was like, that's weird. Just halfway drink.
Am I actually seen that? Or
Yeah. And so it was like open bar. And I was like, is that part of open bar? And they're like, oh, yeah, everything's open. And they're like, you sure you want that? Nobody's drank that in like 15 years.
actually, I'll just take it home. Then
I was like,
that's the
I
case.
was like, yeah, I'll take one neat. So I was getting them big pours. Now I had a flask. I went and got my golf bag and put it in my flask. And then they ran out of the bottle, and she was like, oh, we got another one back there. And I was like,
Whoa.
please sell that to me. I'll give you like $500 right now. And they were like, no, we can't do that, but we'll open it and you drink it for free. So we drank pretty much the entire bottle.
it's just as good?
Well, there was a pretty funny part in there when you said, what does this usually cost for a shot?
Oh, yeah. She goes, well, the first time I went and got it, and then I came back, and she's like, no wonder you were so excited. We normally charge $10 a shot for this. And I was like, oh, yeah.
You're like, you know what? I'm willing to pay that for how many more shots are left in the bottle.
Yeah. It
How's
was
that
open bar
compare?
all night. It was unbelievable.
Have you had the 23, Ryan?
I have not, but man, it reminded me of the Van Winkle ryes that were in the green bottles, from Lawrenceburg or whatever. It reminded me very similar, though. I don't know if they're similar type juice, but it was very, very good.
Oak heavy. 23 is
Yeah,
real oak heavy. Maybe too much.
I'll let Kenny try. I was pretty wasted by the end of the day.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it sounds like you had enough of it to really form a good opinion on it.
Well, and we had been golfing 27 holes, so I was probably 30 beers deep. And it's like,
Makes for a
a
good
good surprise.
Yeah, it makes for a good tomorrow morning. It's felt like shit.
Oh, yeah.
$1 million.
We lost the round that night just because we drank so much. We had to play the next day, and it was like we were done for.
Which I think that's what basically all the member guests are. It's like nobody wants that early start time the next morning just because they know it's going to be
survive that.
Yeah,
Who can survive the party the night before? Like whoever goes to bed early is pretty much going to win the tournament.
Yeah, you're locked if you go to bed by 10:30 the night before.
Exactly.
All right, so let's get this thing kicked off. What do y'all say?
Do it.
Yeah, hold on. Give me 1 second.
Gotta pee-pee.
It better be good. Making us wait like this.
I'm just gonna look at Blake for a little bit.
He's grabbing his flask.
Sorry, I got this old house with switches for my plugs, and I needed to plug in my laptop. So good to go now.
Yeah, don't be surprised if these lights go dim on me again like last time too.
I was gonna say, I thought that was for effect last time, so I really want you to tell like this haunting story, and all of a sudden the lights dim.
Nick, let me see that.
Blair Witch Project.
Yeah, I got my phone right here ready to hit the button when it happens. So
Nick, lean back. I want to see that shirt. That's awesome.
Oh, nice.
That is
Thank
cool.
you.
Yeah.
can you get that? Can you get that in part of Patreon, or like is that part of the your Etsy store we got to buy off of?
Yeah, not yet. It's not available yet. This is actually the sample shirt. So ordered a handful of sample shirts last week and trying some different designs.
First edition. Oh man.
First edition. Worth a lot of money.
Yeah.
Secondary. Watch out. No
Walking it off at the end of the night.
All right, let's get kicked off here. Welcome back to the episode of the Bourbon Pursuit Podcast, the official podcast of Bourbon. We are back yet again with the 10th edition of the Bourbon Community Roundtable. If you haven't joined us by now, we've got 50 viewers on. Last time, I think we were up to like 120. This one was kind of a little bit ad hoc. We got it together yesterday because I've got
Carrie's family took the night off.
Carrie's family took the night off. We were able to do this because I'm actually going on vacation next week, so I gotta get this done so I can get it cranked out and push it out for everybody to listen to next week as part of the podcast. But before we get into the topics tonight, because we got some good ones that we want to talk about, I want to go around the horn, starting with Bourboner, and we'll start from there.
I'm actually fielding questions already. A buddy of mine just texted me that one guy's collection in the background is putting yours to shame. Show something off. Like I have to put more bottles behind me. I'm Blake from Bourboner.com. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Bourboner.com. BOURBONR.
And Blake is sporting his brand new Yeti microphone that he got from Prime Day as well.
Yes.
So
thank you, Prime Day. This is coming in high def quality right now.
Sounds good.
You sound the same, but I'm glad you.
You still sound terrible, but it's just slightly clearer.
Sucker.
All right, Carrie, you're up next.
Carrie from Suburbia, SUBOURBIA. You can find me on Facebook and the Twitters and the Instagrams. I actually have a couple blog articles I'm almost done with. So back to writing a little bit, fellas. Yeah.
Hey, it's just a shade under a decade. You almost got one out.
How do you find time in your tennis schedule to get those?
The busy day, busy life.
And Nick, go ahead.
I'm Nick, one of the three guys behind BreakingBourbon.com. Find us online and find us on social media, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, also running a Patreon support campaign. So if you want to get release calendar updates and glasses and tasting sheets, check us out. And, we just really appreciate the support.
Awesome. And we'll wrap it up with Brian.
All right. This is Brian Harrow with Sippin' Corn. You can find me mostly on Twitter, SIPPN Corn. Where I will, or in the blog of that name too, where I do reviews and legal history of bourbon.
And book coming soon?
And
Can we announce it yet?
Yeah.
Someone let the cat out of the bag last month. I'm still negotiating, let's say.
Okay.
I've been hounding my Barnes & Noble for the past month now. I'm like, if you guys don't get this in, I read on Bourbon Beach that it's out. So
You said it would be the book of the summer, but it won't be till, it's a year away before.
He didn't say which summer. He just said one summer.
The summer.
2020.
So look for it for a year from now.
Is this 2 years in the making now, Brian?
It's research beginning probably in 2013.
Oh, wow.
And then I mostly wrapped it up around this past January, and then started talking to publishers. And I've got 2 offers right now, waiting on a third, and we'll compare those and see where I go.
Dang.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Wait for the big money to roll in.
Yeah, that's right. Big
Nothing
money
under 7 figures.
We make so much money in the bourbon community.
Yeah.
Exactly. I'm not retiring early on this. Let's just say.
Yeah, or you can just go self-publishing route, put it as an ebook on Amazon, and then you just
all my
cut,
money,
make a
right?
penny per book.
you cut them out altogether.
That's right.
See, that's the way you got to go. We're the marketing engine for you anyway, right?
That's right. Look at this. We'll talk about this, and we'll get all kinds of sales.
All right, so let's go ahead and let's kick it off because the last roundtable, for anybody that didn't stick around, you can actually catch the bloopers that are happening on our Facebook page at Bourbon Pursuit. And it was about an extra 8 to 15 minute long segment where we took a bunch of trivia questions because I guess that's what happened when Kerry gets drunk. He likes to sit there and he's like, I got a great idea. Let's give away free samples for answering trivia. And so it was actually a really cool experiment we did. People stuck around. I think that after we ended, I think we still talked for an extra 45 minutes. But who has not shipped their samples yet? Is anybody on the hook for being late to the game here? I count 1, 2.
On the spot.
I actually do. I've had the labels printed out for like 2 weeks now, and Monty in Texas, it's coming. I swear. I need to get it shipped. I'd taken all my sample bottles to the office, and then I'm like, okay, well, I'll just bring the sample bottles home with me, and now I just keep forgetting to do it.
I don't even remember what I gave away. I gotta watch the movie.
You did the actually whole bottle of Pappy Van Winkle, I believe, is what you gave.
Right.
Yeah, is that what it is? It was
Heavy 15.
Yeah.
See, the bad thing is that this was recorded, so you're definitely on the hook. Like you can't get out of that.
Yeah, that's fair.
So yeah, I got the sample shipped out for on my end. So I hope I believe it was Monty as well that got mine.
Thanks, Kenny.
Yeah. So yeah, hopefully everybody's getting those. If not, you guys know how to get in touch with these guys, and you can say, "God damn it, it's been almost 3 weeks now. Where's my sample?"
Samples.
I'll tell you what.
The volume doubles every week, right?
Yes. What's happened to you guys though? I sent out my Booker's Rye to my guy who got the trivia right. A address off of my box and sends me 3 samples in return. So this might be something we want to
That's right there, buddy.
Well, that's awesome.
Like chain letters, but bourbon chain letters.
Yeah, that's right. I just crippled
Pen
my
pals.
bourbon.
Going. Yeah.
Pen pals.
Yeah.
I guess we could start something like that. Usually it's like a Christmas thing, right? We can send
Little Secret Santa.
yeah, well, I mean, yeah, you do that, bourbon sample, maybe a dirty pair of underwear or something, just to keep it spicy.
What if you don't wear underwear? I'm asking for a friend.
then send those dirty ass jeans that you've been farting in all day.
Welcome,
All
ladies, to the podcast. We're glad that you joined us tonight.
All right, so let's go ahead and we'll move on. And this is going to be directed more towards Brian because it was actually a picture that Blake took, I believe, of part of his collection. And the roundtable here, everybody had a part in retweeting it and kind of getting it out on Twitter. But it was a picture of the old Charter 8 versus the old Charter 8 year. And I believe Blake or Brian put it out there as a voting kind of app or whatever, and this says like, does this even look, would you actually mistake this if you saw it in the store? And I think it was pretty much an overwhelming response that it was, yes, this looks like a deceiving thing. And this was something that was actually taken to court. I believe it was a few months ago, maybe it was longer than that. But the case was actually dismissed, and I kind of want to let Brian give a little bit of a roundup, and then we'll talk about it a little bit too.
Sure. So this is the old Charter 8, and they after it was no longer an 8-year bourbon, they took the words aged and years off of either side of the numeral 8. They did the same thing with Very Old Barton about probably 3 or 4 years ago. And now lately they've on the neck for Very Old Barton, they put the proof on it. So they've changed that, but now their next one is Old Charter. And so they got sued in New York on a class action let's see, this was probably last November that they got sued. And Sazerac filed a motion to dismiss in January. And it's a nice long motion that basically says consumers can't be idiots. By taking off the words aged and years, it's clear that it's no longer an 8-year bourbon. And it actually reminded me of another lawsuit that Sazerac was involved in when they were suing Woodford and Brown-Forman was suing them. This is in the late 90s when everyone was learning that Woodford is not necessarily distilled in Versailles. And Sazerac was arguing that Woodford was making a misrepresentation because they had an ad that said their bourbon was matured in the heart of the bluegrass country. And Brown-Forman said, well, yeah, it's matured there. It doesn't say distilled. It doesn't say barreled there. It says it was matured there. And that's true. And you can't have any sort of misrepresentation claim when something is technically true. And so that's Sazerac's defense here in the old charter case, is that it's true. The numeral 8 by itself doesn't mean that it's 8 years old. So is they added aged 8 seasons to the bottle for a little while, and I think they've taken that off now. Under federal regulations, there's only 2 distilling seasons in a year. So that would make it a 4-year-old bourbon, and you wouldn't have to necessarily put an age statement. So I think the popular belief now is it's probably a 4-year-old bourbon. What's that, Barry?
While we discuss it, just so if viewers are watching, they can see that side by side.
Yeah, people can see this.
Yeah, you've got the picture.
Can you see that? Okay.
Back it up a little.
Yeah, maybe back up a little bit.
And keep talking so it shows on the main screen.
There you go.
Yeah,
the big screen there.
There you go. Yeah.
Pulled off the official Sippin' Corn Twitter handle for this.
You've got the one that has 8. Somebody wrote 800 on it.
Oh, there's so many floating around.
I thought that was
there's 80. Hold on.
Okay, so here's the better question. Why did you go out and buy it just when it has an 8 on it?
Well, a lot of people responded when this was getting tweeted and retweeted. People were responding that they thought it was 8 years old, or they thought it was the old bottle that said 8 years, because the words aged in years were actually pretty small, and they were in the same location where the numeral 8 was. And it's real easy. If both were on a shelf, you could easily pick up the one with the 8 on it and not get an 8-year-old bourbon. Very easy.
Yeah, that's something I would do.
That I had about that exact same thing happen in this. Well, that was the picture I took in the store, but I was like reaching to grab it, and I'm thinking, oh, hold on a second, this bottle's slightly different, because the shoulders on them are slightly different. And then I'm like, oh, so I think there's a lot of confusion there, and there's just no other reason to have an 8 or a number on there with the ancient age. Yeah, it went from 10 years to 10 star. Like, what does 10 star really mean? Nothing. But this one I felt like was even more blatant, of like, well, it's on the consumer not to be dumb. So we think, there's a small percentage of people it'll fool, and they won the lawsuit based on that.
Right. And so what happened is they filed a huge motion to dismiss, and about 20 days later, the plaintiff filed his own dismissal, voluntarily quit, basically. So the court didn't even need to decide. So that either means that the plaintiff got paid off and it was settled, or he saw the motion to dismiss and thought, yeah, okay, we can't handle this case.
So I guess another question was that, coming from a law background yourself, they're putting up a class action lawsuit. Who do you think had the bigger lawyers here? And do you think if they were actually to take this to court, they would just get swamped in legal fees, and it really wasn't a fight that they could ever even win, just because they would be drowning in legal fees before it even actually made it to a court case?
Yeah, the clearly bigger attorneys here were for Sazerac, no doubt about it. They would have drowned the plaintiff's attorneys.
And the only reason I would even think of that is because I watch Better Call Saul, and he always says, like, I'll take you to court, and you'll be swamped in fees, and you'll have to quit your job, and blah 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 blah. So,
right.
So, is there anybody on this panel that didn't think it was deceiving, or just say like? And I saw somebody that even said like, it's old charter. Why do you give a shit in the first place?
And so I got a question on that too. Is who's buying it? Are they marketing it towards people that had been buying it already? Is that the market? And basically so they don't notice that? Are they capturing a new audience? Is a new audience going to think anything of the 8 at all? And I would think it's pretty much the same people buying it, and they're trying to make it look as similar as it always has. And you're buying the bottle without looking at it, just like Blake was talking about. And you don't even realize, because it looks basically the same. And I don't really inspect bottles that closely unless they're new. I don't think I would notice minor changes on a lot of bottles, especially if they're bottles that I buy all the time.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't know who the new market for Old Charter is. I don't think there's really much of a market for Old Charter to begin with, right? So it is going to be the same people, and that's probably the same with Very Old Barton. It's the same folks who are going to be buying that regardless. Although I tell you, with Very Old Barton, it was getting such a reputation as being the best bottom shelf whiskey out there that you could get for whatever it was, $9.99 a few years ago. That
Can you see my screen
that
now?
one? Oh, there it is. That's perfect.
There you go.
You just got to talk.
Why'd it go away?
Yeah, Ryan.
Got a white screen now.
Yeah.
Stupid thing. Stupid technologies.
You would think he'd actually work in IT.
Great. Now my broadband's down. This is great.
So ransomware is after you.
So to kind of get back on topic, Brian, was there anybody else besides Sazerac that's pulled this stuff? I mean, we just named 3 different brands that are all coming from Sazerac: Very Old Barton, Old Charter, and H&H, that all dropped the age statement, yet kept the number on there as a way to, I don't know, whether it's deceiving, whether it's a marketing game, whether it's a say like, well, I mean, this is basically the best way, so we didn't have to go and figure out how to make a new label because we're strapped on marketing resources or something.
I'm not aware of anyone else. I mean, and think of it this way: when the Red 12 came off of Elijah Craig, imagine if they would have left that red numeral 12 on the front. I mean, people would there's your picture again. But if Elijah Craig left that red 12, I mean, of course you think it's 12 years old. What else? What else?
Doesn't like Evan Williams, the single barrel? Isn't it kind of deceiving? Like it's not a 10-year anymore. It kind of like they changed like how the wording is on the bottle label to make it seem like it's 10-year, but it's not. I don't know. I could be totally way off.
I mean, I think is it Evan Williams or maybe I'm thinking of Eagle
the single
Rare,
barrel
who took it off of the neck and put it on the back.
Eagle Rare did that. Yeah, it's still back there too.
Yeah. I think it is Evan Williams who. It's like, no, that's just a design that happens to look like a 1 and a 0. Not our fault if that's confusing. That's the letter D. It's just backwards. What are you doing?
Cusack said, the sad thing is that they're using this trick on Old Charter. It's like cheating a second grader at checkers. And Kevin made a good point. He said Wild Turkey 101 changed to old number 8 brand when it dropped the 8-year age statement. So that's probably true as well. Didn't really think about that one.
Yeah, that's a good point.
What are they going to do?
Number 7
all
too.
this.
Who's the old number 7? Is that Jack Daniels?
Jack Daniels.
But at least that never seemed like confusing because it wasn't like it was an age stated and then nobody's confusing Maker's Mark 46 for a 46-year-old bourbon because it just came out like that. Right. This is a little bit different when it's like I don't know. It'd be like the same as if somebody just decided to go to be a blended whiskey or something and they just happened to take bourbon off of the label and never told anyone. No matter how you look at it, I think it's pretty won't go as slimy, but it's a little bit deceiving.
It's deceptive. I mean, anytime you do something like that, you take you can't look intentional. We dropped an age statement, but we left a big fucking age.
Lost him? Or is that just me?
Yeah, I'm losing him too.
I put in the chat. It said it's you, Gary. So
yeah. The IT guy.
Yeah.
I have a feeling there's going to be a really good point he's about to make too, but.
So, while we're on the topic of age statements, there's another one that kind of didn't take that route. They took the number off immediately. Was like Jim Beam Black, right? Like Jim Beam Black used to be 8 years, and now it's just black. But I don't know. I don't know if they filter it again or something. Like I forget what makes the black a little bit better, whether it's at 6 to 8 years now or something like that. But
can you hear me now?
There you go.
Can you hear me now?
Didn't they just
So-
what's on there now? Is it like an infinity sign on the Jim Beam Black, or just says extra aged or something?
I think it's extra age, something like that.
I need to look at. Yeah,
That's
All right,
one thing I
Carrie.
do not have behind me, so I couldn't even grab it if I had it.
Deception at its finest.
So basically, I think you're right. It's got to be up there for a reason. It can't. The marketers who make that can't be just picking at numeral 8 or numeral 6, whatever, out of thin air and say it means nothing. But on the other hand, the consumers have a duty to read the label. And if it doesn't say years after it, that means it's not 8 years.
Yeah, I think it enters that territory of, I guess, buyer beware, and is it worth the risk? Is it worth the risk for the company to do that, and catch the flack? I mean, how many people are not going to buy it that would have otherwise bought it? How many people are not going to buy Sazerac products or connect other Sazerac products to it? Let's hope Sazerac 18 year doesn't become Sazerac 18 and, it's aged for 18 months or something like that, but yeah, I think it's just that, do you take that risk or not? It's happened before. I mean, chances are the people who are buying it are probably still buying it, so
Yeah,
what
I mean,
does it really hurt?
It's an everyday bourbon. So like my everyday bourbons, I don't inspect the bottles. Like my Heaven Hill 6 year, I just go grab it. Or the Henry McKenna's, I just go grab it. It's not like I'm inspecting it. So I can see why they do it. Because it's just like, I don't care. It's a $20 bottle.
I mean, the OC8 went from tasting bad to tasting bad. So it's not like, taking the year thing off made it. Yeah, I mean, I get your point.
So I kind of want to pivot a little bit because it could tail on here. And Carrie kind of brought up a good point about, we'll talk about these Tuesday bourbons, other bourbons that liquor stores just want to get rid of, because Carrie put out a tweet earlier this week that said, never ask a liquor store employee for recommendations. So Carrie, what did you mean by that? And kind of dive into it.
So here's what happened. So I was in one store looking around, and there was a dude who may have still been in college and a nice lady who was saying, what bourbon do you recommend? And she's like, I'm looking for kind of like a starter bourbon. And the dude obviously didn't know anything about bourbon, but he said, I'm like standing there and there's a bottle of Buffalo Trace for $22.99 right in front of her. And to the right of it, a bottle of Eagle Rare for not much more. And you want to say something, but you just feel like you can't because you come off as the biggest nerd in the whole place. Although I should have, because I am the biggest nerd in the whole place. But I held off, and he said, you should try this Widow Jane up here on the top shelf for $75. And his reasoning for it was, he said, when you take shots of it, it burns like a little less. So she picked up the Widow Jane. And that thing, I'm sure, that thing had dust on it. That thing was old as crap. It had dust on it. She went and bought it. Saw the same thing happen with, I don't remember what the bourbon was. Again, Buffalo Trace, Eagle Rare, Henry McKenna sitting on a shelf, and this guy's like, God, what was the bottle? It was like $100 bottle of something that you would never even send like your worst enemy to buy. And it was just, and I'm not talking about blood oath, like it was like something else. And of course she reaches up, she's like, oh cool, I'll buy this really nice bottle of bourbon. And there was some good stuff on the shelf, like he had the Michters barrel proof rye sitting on the shelf, and she went for I think it was the Garrison Brothers, like the single barrel Garrison Brothers,
like the Cowboy Bourbon or whatever it is.
I've never had that
silver
one.
waxed. Yeah,
I've never tried that.
I saw that happen, and I'm just thinking, just reach out to somebody who drinks bourbon and ask them for recommendation. Do not go into a store, especially if you're not really good friends with someone there, because all they're going to do is try to sell the stuff that's been sitting on a shelf. And I see that time and time and time again.
You should apply for Total Wine.
Yeah, totally.
You'd be like those wine guys, they're like, this is Carrie's pick.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You go up to that guy, you're like, so what pick do you have? What's your favorite pick in bourbon? They're like,
They'll have a whole shelf for you, Carrie's picks.
Better, you'd be like, you gotta come in the fall, and they only get one bottle of it, and it's mine.
Right. Yeah, we're out of the package. We're out of the feedback.
It's the Sazerac 18. It's like, it's his. You can't do it.
That's Saz 18. Yeah.
I guess for me, I would say for me on my end, I don't spend that much time in a liquor store where I sit there and overhear a lot of people talking about it. Usually I walk in, either know what I'm what I want, talk to the liquor store owner, get what I need, whatever it is. You know, the hunting days are few and far between now that I'm spending a good solid 5 minutes perusing up and down the bourbon aisles. But is anybody else? I know Blake, you've talked before about you've been sitting there and overheard conversations and people have either bought the wrong thing or maybe you're just like, I've got to change of heart. Like I got to interrupt here. Like I gotta fix this situation.
Yeah, I've had it happen both ways. I've people who I've wanted to just jump in so bad, but then I've had people jump in on me just kind of standing in an aisle. I think I was playing with my phone and the guy was like, "Oh, so you getting into bourbon?" Like, yeah, a little bit. I said, gotta try the Angel's Envy Rye. It's man, it's something. I'm like, oh, okay, appreciate that. And I can be like, buddy, I don't want to spend $78 on I don't know if it's flavored or not, but it is. I mean,
somebody else's rye.
Yeah, it's good. It's just sweet. But it makes me nervous to ask for recommendations anywhere now after seeing that, because I'm like, even at a restaurant, are they just going to recommend the thing that's not selling at all? Because, they're like, okay, we got to get rid of this. This guy asked for a recommendation, send them whatever it is. Because a lot of times it is the thing that's not selling, and or you have to really trust the store that you go to.
You got to trust somebody there. I agree.
If you don't have either of those things, like just do your own research or really trust the store, I'm not going to depend on the 22-year-old college kid to tell me which whiskey is the best.
Burns less on a shot.
Burns less.
I could have told you if I was in his shoes, I'd be like, bitch, you better get this Kentucky Tavern because that shit is awesome.
Right with Coke.
I gotta say, in defense of, it could be anyone. It could be the store owner, could be an employee, a manager. I think there's a really wide range of what you find in there. I know in some stores locally, there's at least one person there in a lot of stores that is into bourbon, and they know what they're talking about for the most part. Are they going to be able to give a good, honest recommendation that doesn't have anything to do with sales? I think a lot of them do, or at least they'll just talk to you. I know when I go in now, I don't buy usually when I go in a store. I end up talking to somebody for 10, 15 minutes and then walk out empty-handed a lot of the time. But those relationships have worked over the years, and those are people that end up calling you when they do have something. And I don't know, I think there's something to be said for that relationship with the retailer. You just got to know, what you need to know going into it. Don't go in there blind, just listen to anything anybody says. You got to have some knowledge of, is this person giving you decent advice or not, before you kind of go down that rabbit hole, I think. Otherwise, you'll get stuck with some $80 bottle that, was made by who knows who and doesn't taste good, but somebody told you it does, Yeah.
Cusack in the chat had a real quick. I was just going to say, Cusack had a good statement. He said, "Can you blame the stores? So much bourbon crap pouring in." I mean, are we looking at simply a glut and bourbon sitting on shelf, and that's why they've got to sell the old shit?
But I mean,
for sure. I mean,
I guess there's. Go ahead, Ryan.
Oh, I was gonna say, there's like, you go into Total Wine now, it's overwhelming how much stuff is out there. Like, even like 5 years ago, there wasn't that much options, and now it's just like, holy shit, what is half this shit, and how's it selling? I don't understand. Yep. Like, I'm just blown away. If I was a new buyer, I would just be like, what? I guess this one's in a middle to high price point. It must be good.
Right, it's bourbon overload, and if it's got a nice label and a horse on it somewhere, you buy it.
Yeah. They say animals on liquor bottles help sell them. I don't know where I heard that stat or how true it is, but by having an animal on the bottle, it helps sell it.
Yeah, it makes it taste better too. So,
or a guy smoking a cigar.
Yeah.
If you're a new person,
a little bit,
like a newbie. What a time to be alive, right? Like, you have got everything under the sun you can try. And, like, you walk in, it's like us if we got into scotch now. I'd be like, holy shit, look how much stuff is just sitting on shelves. They just don't know any better. They don't know that all the good stuff is in our basements. Like, they think that, they're going to just, get into a store. So for them, ignorance is bliss, right? They don't care. They just want to drink good bourbon. They just don't know what good bourbon is yet.
Yeah, it all comes from NGP. That's what they're tasting.
But I mean, I guess I don't know whether you are able to put a little bit of blame on the liquor stores themselves. I mean, they bought this stuff, right? They choose to buy the inventory, right? Maybe I'm wrong. There's a lot of, yeah. I mean, it could be distributor strongholding or arm twisting or whatever it is. But at least as far as I know, those practices are supposed to be illegal in most states, or if not everywhere. So I'm not entirely sure if the store owner is even a person to be able to blame in a situation like that when they've got too much inventory that sits on a shelf and doesn't sell because, word's gotten out that it's just not good. It's craft. It's whatever it is.
So you guys got another 1792 barrel when you still hadn't sold your first barrel. Why is that? Why'd you buy so much 1792?
The Wild Turkey Diamond that's been sitting there for 10 years.
Yeah, exactly. So much of it's in
which everybody's gonna want in 5 years. Just watch.
Yeah, right.
As soon as the last bottle sells, people are gonna be like going nuts for it.
Some of that could be incentive too. The distributors are like, if you buy a case of this Garrison Brothers, we will get you 3 Michters 10 years. So probably they're buying. On the flip side, I think sometimes you can attribute to distributors saying, carry a bunch of our products and we'll take care of you when rare releases come around. So I don't think it's all the store's fault. I mean, it's, again, I think you go back to the 3-tier system.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I know here in New York, there's a split case upcharge for a split case. You say, I'll take a whole case. They say, well, you can't buy a whole case. We can only sell you a split case. So they're stuck. Do you take it? Do you leave it? What do you do? They get caught in the middle. They don't know. And I know some retailers that they buy stuff totally unknown. They're not into the bourbon scene, but they buy it and see what happens. Sometimes it sits. They buy the wrong stuff.
So I don't shop at Total Wine as much, but there was this is probably a good question for Ryan and Carrie here. So James says Total Wine steers people towards their quote unquote house brands. Is that correct? Because I don't really know. I don't go into it too often.
Yeah. I'll listen. Yeah, I'm in Total Wine twice a week, and I'll hear them.
Definitely for wine.
Yeah, I'll hear them, and they'll be on the bourbon aisle. They'll be like, "You got to try this." I can't even remember the names of these. Like it's similar to
pure one, Winchester.
Winchester, and this is really. I can't say how many times people put Winchester in their carts, and I'm just. I can't.
It's a lot of like hyper age stuff, I think.
Yeah, it comes from that TerraPure. Yeah,
TerraPure. Winchester is.
Yes.
Yeah, they have a deal. Yeah, which y'all hear about in about 3 months. I did an interview with OZ Tyler, and they do the TerraPure process in Owensboro. But yeah, they got a contract with Liquor Barn and Total Wine and Spirits to do all their contract distilling.
So now you know. The more you're informed.
So now you know. Yeah, if you care.
What's the Barn private brand? Yeah, the name.
What's that?
One? You broke up on the.
What's the Liquor Barn?
Oh, Flatboat.
I thought Flatboat was 1792.
Oh, that's true. Maybe it is.
Yeah, I was like, I got it right here. I was like, I can do a taste test. So
or that's what they tell you.
So this will kind of segue into the next segment because this was a question that Rick Nolan sent me on our Facebook page. And he says, you guys talk about, this is actually something that Carrie made famous not too long ago, which was the word of FOMO in the bourbon world, right? Just what we call the fear of missing out. He says he occasionally suffers from a case of what he calls FOBR, which is the fear of buyer's remorse. And he says he usually needs a waiting period or cooling off period after a new release because he thinks that, he got swindled because of the hype around it or anything like that. So open discussion here. So what is everybody's biggest buying regret that they just wish they didn't buy at one point? And I know that we just brought up Wild Turkey Diamond. And I think somebody's sitting on a heap of them over here, aren't they? I see him smiling now.
Quite, let's just say. I was there on the day on April 15th when they released them at the gift shop. Three max per person, and I sweet talked the cashier into letting me get 6.
Boy, did you get them!
Best negotiation
ever.
I bought a lot that day, my friends.
I'm trying to think.
Well, I mean, if the way that things go is the way that Nick predicted, I mean, you could see a return on your investment one day for that, because that's not going to be around again, even though it's still on the shelf. Yeah,
just gotta wait it out.
Yeah.
Maybe 30 years, but you'll get there.
That's right.
Diamonds. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
So
I
who
bought
else?
Logic Craig 23 recently.
I would say, honestly, I would say a Logic Craig 23 is one of those bourbons that I didn't care for it either, unless you like really love chewing on a stick that's been freshly laid in the dew for like 48 hours and it's got all this moss growing on it, right? I know I went a little bit of tangent there, but I think it's horrible.
So I had it one time, loved it. I thought it was awesome. It was very much like the Parkers this year, the 24 year. Then I bought a bottle, and of course, being single barrel, especially when you get into that 20 plus year, there's a lot of variation. And I took a sip of mine, and it's just like dried up Listerine, like just with wood chips in it. It's just not very good. I kind of regret that one because I think I traded a SAS 18 for that plus something else.
So just to kind of keep the conversation moving here,
A moment of silence.
I know, right?
Yep. I'm trying to think of all my bad ones.
So I'll read a few from the chat and we can talk about it. So John Diamond said Lusty Claw, which I think I've seen a picture of it. I don't know if I've actually seen it in the store.
I've never seen it.
I'm gonna have to look that up.
Lusty Claw.
Yeah. So Keith Arnold said on the low end, Calumet, right? Another one of those. Like if it puts if it puts a horse on it, it's gonna sell.
Right. It'll sell.
And then we can basically just go up and down the old Orphan Barrel line if we want, right?
Yeah.
Hey, look, they were good until 2014, and then they went downhill. But 2013, they were okay. We had Lost Profit. We had Old Blowhard.
Yeah.
We had
Blowhard was good.
Orange Doke was
Rhetoric
I like Barterhouse. And I just had a Rhetoric, I think 22 the other night, and it was decent. The first time I had a Rhetoric, I hated it. Had it the other night, it was good, and they don't overcharge for it. It's not crazy.
And they had Gifted Horse, which its only redeeming quality was scratch and sniff on the bottle. We all know that, right? The bottle was actually scratch and sniff.
The label design was the best part of that bottle.
Am I really going to be scratching my bottle and sniffing it?
Do you have one?
Yeah.
Go get it.
Do it on screen.
Yeah, we got to see if that's a real thing. So I never had Whoop and Holler, but somebody else said that was one of theirs. And
yes, scratch the horse and sniff it. I'm not kidding. Scratch the horse and sniff it. What do you smell? Old leather.
Smell kind of perfumey, like old leather.
Yeah, it's a scratch and sniff label.
I had no idea.
I never know that.
Yeah, they actually confirmed it.
I think the folks who designed that label.
I think I'm going to like it a lot better now.
The folks who designed that label reached out to us. I think they used one of our photos on their website. They have some cool designs. I gotta say the Orphan Barrel label designs are fantastic.
Oh yeah,
across the board, they're fantastic.
They nailed it. Thinking about one that what was it? The FOBO or what? Fear of
Fober.
Okay.
Fear of buyer's remorse.
I did spend like $40 on a little Old Stag sample one time, just a little 50 mLs. Thinking, man, this is from the original Stag distillery. This thing's going to be crazy. Can't believe the deal I got on it. Worst thing I've ever tasted in my entire life.
Really?
Old
Stag is not good, huh?
No, it was terrible. I think it was blended whiskey. I don't think I was really paying attention when I bought it. But yeah, that's luckily. But at least it wasn't a whole bottle that I have to like sit around and stare at and remind me of the poor choice I made. But that's probably mine.
I had two this year, like the William Heaven Hill 15 year, or no, I guess last year, 2016.
Yes, it was terrible.
Oh, it was terrible. And I weighed in line, and it was a lot of money.
That wasn't cheap.
No, it was like $250, I think, or something like that, or maybe more. But it was bad.
Yeah, it was $299. It was not very good.
No, really bad. And then my Pappy 20 this year was awful. I was like, damn it, I wish I didn't open that and just sold it. It was not very good.
Yeah,
I definitely had remorse.
That happens a lot with Pappy, right?
These
days.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of those bottles where you're like so excited, knowing the secondary market, and then you open it and it's like, yeah, it's pretty good.
It's just sold it.
Built up too much.
$1,500 in my pocket as opposed to drinking pretty good whiskey.
Right.
I was just trying to think. I was going back through a few bourbon. Was one that, it had a lot of good press. I think the rye got accolades. I've yet to have the rye, but got the bourbon. It wasn't anywhere near, I think, the quality it should have been for the distribution it gets. I don't know what happened, if they're putting out younger product or just being careless with it or what, but that was really disappointing.
So we had a few more people comment in. James Petit said Blood Oath. John Diamond said the Brandon Priest single barrel.
Well played.
So that's fun. Kevin says his Lot B is Van Winkle Lot B at retail. He said he didn't even care for it, which that's fine. Leave it more for the rest of us. So I can give you mine, which I know a lot of people. I've talked about it on here before. It was actually Rock Hill Farms, but I think I got it in like 2011, maybe 2010, somewhere around there. And it took me almost 2 years to drink it because I couldn't stomach it. I have not bought a bottle since then because that's how bad it put a taste in my mouth. Like I was just like, I'm not gonna even touch this stuff.
You get a bad bottle?
I must have. It
had to have been bad bottle, right? It's the same as Blanton's and Elmer.
I can tell you just back then, it must have been a bad bottle, but I've been turned off ever since, so I haven't even touched it. I will say another one. So if anybody out there that they think like, oh yeah, like I want to start collecting these Jim Beam decanters, don't even think it's a good idea because it tastes horrible. Like I opened this and I was just like, huh, yeah, it's like tinny, it has like almost like I'm chewing on pennies, and it's. And
lead you're tasting.
Yeah, I was going to say, I feel like I've got lead running through my veins now, right? So definitely be careful out there on the secondary market of like collecting Jim Beam decanters and thinking that the juice inside of them is still good. I would
shut up, Kenny. I have a few to sell.
You got what, a week before this airs to the masses?
Yeah, they're going on right now.
You better get it out there soon then.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and we'll move to a next subject. And this is something that Lucas, who's a fan of the show, he asked, with the bourbon boom in full effect, many of the large NDPs or the non-distilling producers have really focused over the last few years on getting their own still setup, which we've seen that pretty much all the way around. Many of these brands have a loyal following from people that know what an NDP is. So let's start with Smooth Ambler and some of those other folks. As these brands start to bottle their own juice, do you think we're going to see a shift along the lines as what we've seen today with the hunt of Stitzel Weller juice, or even pre-fire Heaven Hill stock, where brands like Bulleit and Michters, Angel's Envy, they have plenty of money right now that they're paying for chemists to actually go and take what they're producing or what they're actually sourcing from now and actually try to match it as much as close as they can of what their product's going to be when it is actually aged. And so do you think there is a possible subculture that's going to be created for people that want to have Four Roses Bulleit or the Heaven Hill Ezra Brooks and stuff like that we could possibly see here in the next, I don't know, 5-7 years? Like, what do you all think?
I just want to say, I think it's funny with all the kind of crap that NDPs get, that what's happening is producers are taking what they get from NDPs and saying, I want to make this exact same thing, and going to great lengths to basically reproduce that, as opposed to necessarily make something completely different and new in the space, which is kind of almost the opposite strategy that that other, distillers might take. I just think it's an interesting dynamic.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I tell you, with Bulleit in particular, I might be looking for the label that still says Lawrenceburg on it, because it was so much better, at least in my memory, versus what I've had recently. Anytime you can make a distinction on a bourbon, whether like Lucas was saying, whether it's the old Bernheim versus the new, or bottled in Lawrenceburg versus Buffalo Trace for Pappy. I mean, you want that distinction, and you think something that's old way or different is going to be better. But I tell you, for the guaranteed Four Roses Lawrenceburg label Bulleit, that is better than the current Bulleit.
Yeah, I think everybody loves nostalgic. So I mean, even me, I mean, like old granddads from the 80s, they might not be, if you put them in a blind taste test, they might not win, but to me, they taste better. I don't know. It's just like the butterscotch bomb, tastes like a Werther's, like the label. I don't know. It's just, we love nostalgic. So I definitely think people seek those out. And it's going to be hard. I mean, these are good whiskeys that are being bottled by these NDPs. I mean, they're from Heaven Hill, Four Roses, these distillers that have been around forever that know what they're doing. So, it's going to be hard to replicate the good juice that they're putting into these bottles.
That's a good point. It's going to take longer for these guys to get their stills working right than it is to compete with MGP and Four Roses and Heaven Hill and the established. That's a really good point.
Some of them may be better off just to make their first release be not that great, because then everybody's just going to go and buy everything that's on the shelf right away.
Yeah,
it'll be gone. As soon as the Bulleit that was actually distilled at the Bulleit. Well, do they even have a functional still, or is it still just that small?
They got their whole operation up and running in Shelbyville, if I'm not mistaken, right, Brian?
Yeah, up and running. They are.
Or like a Michters, who has a big operations there as well. Who, as soon as they release something that's it's not that great, everybody's just going to go and flock to the old Forester or whoever they're sourcing from. But everyone is going to love something once it's gone and more scarce anyways.
That's right.
That tastes so much better. Because it's not around.
But
anymore.
I'm hoping for on that dime.
Yeah. Eventually, that diamond will go away too, and be knocking on Brian's door.
So this kind of floats into the next question. And Cusack kind of put it up there too, and he said, "Wouldn't NDP be smart just to blend their stuff with the source stuff until it gets down, and they can just make a kind of like an exit out of it where." I guess the only thing at that point they would have to worry about is if you've got a smart enough consumer that knows how to read a label correctly and it knows what DSPs it's actually coming from and how it's blended.
I mean, I will say from my experience that any blending of older whiskey kills the older whiskey taste. It doesn't matter what years you have. Of course, we know this from Orphan Barrel, but there's so many different ones that have gone the blending route, and even Smooth Ambler, who I love with their American whiskey. You blend a 11-year with a 4-year, you're going to get a 4-year taste.
Mm-hmm.
So I think when it comes to being able to sell and make money so that you can keep the production going is great. But if you want to attract the loyal, the hobbyists, and get the real bourbon fan base moving over, I think that you got to stop blending, and occasionally, like Willet, just put out a barrel of the older stuff and try to just, put together the lowest year stuff that you can to survive. But keep single barrels out there.
Yeah. I think we're seeing less and less of the people blending old with the new. I guess Whistle Pig did do it as well, but I was kind of hoping that was a trend that was going to go away, because like Carrie said, you blend an old, probably a really good bourbon with a younger bourbon, you don't get a middle-aged tasting bourbon. You get a younger tasting bourbon, which I think I said it on here before. It's like food, you add something that's over-seasoned with something that's under-seasoned, it's going to taste under-seasoned. It's not going to taste perfectly seasoned. So I think they are just better off just to let their young stuff be young, or wait till they think it's a point to stand on its own, or just keep selling the source stuff until the last possible barrel they have left.
So I guess who's going to be the first person to go out there and just buy a case of Bullet, a case of Angel's Envy, a case of Michters, and all that sort of stuff, and just say, I guess we'll see in 7 years if this is worth anything.
It's a cheap investment at this point. You know, it could cost you, you know, maybe a couple $100 or so if you find the right store. Maybe even get a case discount. So I don't know, maybe it's worth it. If you see me walking with a big box tomorrow out of a store with Angel Envy on the side, you'll know why.
Yeah, I mean, like, that son of a bitch, Kenny gave me a great idea.
Buying all those finished ryes.
Yeah.
And I actually got to give credit to that.
Take it.
So, yeah, great question, Lucas. It's definitely something that I think we might actually see that subculture hit. As Ryan said, it's a nostalgic thing. I mean, you can see in the top shelf behind me if you're watching this on video, like those are old, John and Dusty's up there, and I don't know, people just love it. I don't know what it is, but it's just part of what it is, and I think that as soon as stuff is going to be getting consumed by other people and the stocks are going to dry out, people are going to want that older stuff or they want the new stuff, just to say that they have it, right? It's also a collector's binge thing too.
I'm just Black Maple Hill.
Oh yeah, their stuff's terrible.
Black Maple Hill, you know, they had all the old age stated stuff, which was unbelievable. Then they went to the Orange Label, which I just do not think is very good.
Oh, there's a regret. I forgot about that one. We'll throw that one in there.
And then, now they went to the Oregon stuff, and people still pay $100. Yeah, there you go up there. I've had it in blind tastings, and I'm like, no, this is terrible. What is this bottom shelf stuff? They're like, oh, it's Black Maple Hill, and people paying $350 a bottle for it because it's gone.
So I kind of go ahead, all right, Ryan, close it up for us.
Well, I guess we're getting close to the end, so I probably shouldn't bring this up.
No. I said close up this part of the conversation because I want to move on to the next topic because I got one more thing I want to talk about.
Okay, I had a whole nother topic. So, like, Heaven Hill's building 3 warehouses. All these people, there's going to be so much bourbon. Like, we talked about manipulating to the age statement. We're trying not to make the age important, but when we have all this glut and they want to move back to the age, how do you think that's going to transition?
I think people will be happier. I know Fred Minnick will be happier when they can start putting.
Yeah, but they're saying now age doesn't matter, but then they're going to go back and say age does matter.
Age matters.
I don't think anyone has ever had a problem contradicting themselves at a PR marketing firm.
Right.
Oh, we have new data that says age actually does matter again. So the scientist told us.
I was going to say, we pumped it in our Excel spreadsheets and it came out with that answer.
Right.
Survey says. It's funny, Ryan. I was just thinking about that same thing today. I was thinking there is going to be that day when there's just so much extra bourbon. I think I was watching that video on CBS about the potential trade issue, and bourbon might not be going out of the country or whatever. Like, we might be sitting on a lot more. It probably going to be selling the age statements at some point. With all this bourbon getting made right now, how is that going to spin? It's going to be fun to talk about. It's going to be fun for us geeks, I guess.
All of a sudden,
probably like, oh shit, we just built 50,000 warehouses.
Bourbon fans are the biggest Trump supporters right now. We're like, come on, dude, cut that shit.
Keep it all here.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the other thing that the argument with that, we've all read on the forums with if anybody that doesn't know the whole trade agreements that are going on with Trump right now, with U.S. Steel wanting to and tariffs, basically European Union wants to put tariffs on whiskey that is going to be imported into Europe, which is going to put a huge burden on Kentucky. And Fred Minnick kind of points the blame a little bit at Senator McConnell, who is the House Majority Leader, who happens to be from Kentucky. So they thought it was an easy target. But the idea with all this is that, as we could read, a lot of people said that it's not the epics of things that are going to be sitting around, right? It's the shelf turds that aren't making it overseas for the majority of people anyway.
Well, we can still sell to India and Asia, right?
Yeah.
So we'll get rid of those. We'll get rid of all that. But you're right. I mean, that CBS piece, I think, is what you're talking about. That Fred was interviewed on. Makes us an easy target because we are the competitor to, and we're better than Scotch. and we're a threat to Scotch, and they know it. So they take it out on us.
Preach on, Brian. So, there was actually something that Carrie had brought up in the last segment talking about Willet, and this is something that I think the rumors have already spread, and I think the cat might be out of the bag, is that we're going to see a lot more Willet on the market relatively soon because the word is, very beginning of 2018, they are reopening their single barrel program. So anybody that is looking for single barrel Willets to actually start seeing them in stores again, you can probably start expecting that the year in 2018. However, don't expect 12, 13, 14, 15 years. Expect their 5-year stuff, right? So
so this will be theirs.
Yes.
Right.
But also, I've also heard that if you can pull some weight, you can possibly get, one of those 12 plus years. But however, it's going to be their 5-year stuff that's going to start.
If you're Sean Brock or somebody, you'll get one.
Well, I don't know about Sean Brock anymore.
Sean Brock anymore.
We'll see. We can save that one for a different time when we're not drinking. But it's I mean, I think for the majority of people, you're going to see a lot more of those 5-year single barrels are going to start hitting the market.
Well, I'll say, speaking of fear of buyer's remorse, whatever it was, I got a bottle of, I think it's a 7-year Willet I bought back in 2013. The store had gotten 3 barrels maybe, but one of each gifted 2 of them, $39.99. They couldn't give the stuff away, and it's fantastic. And now looking back, I'm thinking, what was I thinking? I knew it was fantastic at the time, just couldn't foresee, that it was going to be such a run on bourbon, going forward after that. But
do you know
good news.
That when Smooth Ambler discontinued their rye program, my local store had bought a barrel of probably the best single barrel SAOS rye, and it was still $49.99 per bottle. And I remember reading the report about Smooth Ambler's discontinued rye. I even published a blog article about it. And I sat in the store and I'm like, dude, there's a bunch of bottles here. This stuff is not going anywhere. And I left, and fucking 3 weeks later, I went back in and every single bottle was gone. I still hate myself so much for that. Cases and cases. I know. Isn't that ridiculous? Like cases of that stuff.
So is anybody excited for Willet 5-year, or is it kind of like, okay, it's just 5-year?
I am, because I tasted some of it.
I think
I tasted some in the warehouse in the winter, and it was fantastic. Their weeded bourbon is out of this world.
I agree with you there, Ryan. Absolutely.
Yeah. 5 years starting to hit that point where it's like, okay, it really stands on its own. You don't have to grade it on that craft scale anymore. And so that's what I think is going to be the most exciting thing in the next 2 to 3 years is what craft guys are actually putting out aged product that's good and can compete against the big guys on taste. And that's what I'm most excited about. So I'll try to sneak in that barrel program if I can.
I know somebody over
there. Yeah.
So one last question, and we'll wrap this up. So this is an article that came out of Breaking Bourbon. Eric is yet to make an appearance on here. We're still not sure if he exists. However, 90% of the articles on Breaking Bourbon are actually from Eric. So Nick, we'll wait to figure out what you actually contribute to the website itself.
Well, we've never seen Nick and him at the same time. So
exactly.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, that's right. We weren't doing video back when we did the Breaking Bourbon Pursuit podcast, were we? That was all audio.
It was, wasn't it?
Nick was throwing his voice. He's got a different Jordan voice. He's got a different Eric voice.
So the article actually talked about changing our buying habits as you become a more seasoned bourbon, I don't want to say aficionado, but just a hobbyist and enthusiast. You end up changing your buying habits from, starting at somewhere, learning about things, figuring out like you don't want to buy things, regretting things, all those types of pieces. So I kind of want to, first off, Nick, if you have anything else to kind of add in commentary of the article, and then I want to open up to you all. Have your buying habits changed? Have they slowed down, amped up? For most of us, you can see behind me, do you have more bourbon than you can drink in your lifetime already?
Yeah, so I'll say that, the article very much echoes my opinion as well. Like Eric lives not far from me. We both married women from Syracuse, and actually both moved to Syracuse. So we get together a lot, and you know, we share a lot of bottles, you know, so we'll buy a single bottle, the three of us, and then we'll split it out into, you know, 3 8-ounce sample bottles. Some of the special bottles we'll just keep sealed, and we have some of these that are sealed that we bought years ago that we hardly ever touch, you know, because there's always so much bourbon to try to drink when the three of us get together, you know. But definitely that evolution of, I think, going crazy trying to find and try and buy every new thing into that, you know, I'm going to be more selective. I'm not just going to buy it because it's new. I'm not just going to buy it because the label looks cool. We were talking about Orphan Barrel before. I know I passed on a bunch of Orphan Barrels way back when, waited to kind of try them and feel it out a little bit before I bought any. I like Barter House, so full disclosure, I know some people hate it, but it's the type of thing where I think, you know, all bourbon drinkers, whiskey drinkers, hobbyists, you know, go through that evolution as other people. I know Blake has talked about the evolution of a bourbon drinker too, where I think you eventually start to look a little bit different at the hobby. You start to really want to share what you have, educate other people. I mean, that's why we do Breaking Bourbon, because we got to that point of saying, hey, we want to kind of share what we're talking about, and that, you know, so he kind of reflected on that, and it does very much echo, I think, where, you know, where he is and where I am, and I think where Jordan is too, you know, in this kind of evolution of where we are as whiskey drinkers.
Nick, I swear you didn't have a beard when we started this podcast.
Some people get a 5 o'clock shadow. He shave every 30 minutes.
It's this. So this will put a beard on you. So, you know.
He's got his Heaven Hill 6-year bottle and bond.
King of the bottom shelf.
So, Ryan, what about you? I mean, has your buying habits changed, let's say, over the past 3 years compared to what it was before? I mean, have you kind of slowed down? Or are you amping up? Like, what's your strategy?
My buying habits are bipolarish. You know, I go from manic, depressed, like screw bourbon, I can't find anything, I hate this, to where I'll get like a Four Roses store pick or something that's just like, oh my God, I got to go get, you know, as many store picks as possible. You know, so just kind of like huge swing. It's changed because back in the day we could find so much. So it's so fun going to stores. So now I'm kind of more, I guess, leery of going because I'm going to be disappointed that I'm not going to really find anything. But it's kind of been re-energized by store picks, and I hope that continues.
What about you, Carrie, or anybody else that wants to chime in?
No, go ahead with the question. I just wasn't paying attention.
I think mine has definitely changed. I do still find myself buying quite a few bottles, but it's if I find something I like, I'll grab 3 or 4 bottles. It's not a very scalable model because of eventually I'm starting with too much bourbon, so adding more bourbon to that isn't a great thing. But you know, my thinking is, hey, I liked this year's or the batch B of Elijah Craig Barrel Proof. I was lucky enough to find a few bottles of it, so I'm going to grab those. Now, at the same time, I passed on a bunch of other new releases and $100 plus bottles, and I'm not as worried about going into the fall bourbon hunt. You know, really the only thing I'm looking forward to is the Al Young release, which should hit Florida hopefully within the next year. The way distribution is down here. But yeah, I think it just, when you start to find stuff you like, it takes less pressure, or there's less pressure on finding like the Pappies and the antique collection, because you know, you drank some of that, so it's like, okay, cool, if I don't get it, no problem. There's plenty to drink, and I've been able to grab multiple bottles of stuff I really like. So even though there is some FOMO, I can tell I can rest
FOMO's
easy
real.
at night.
Yeah, I'm with you, Blake, on that batch B of the Elijah Craig Barrel Proof. So my habits have changed basically to being focused on things like that. So you look for that. You look for the Rebel Yell 10-year. You get a couple of bottles of just to have on hand of the Old Forester 1920, and then you work on private barrels. I mean, I don't know a standard issue type bourbon probably since 2013. You know, I loaded up on Elmer T. Lee and Weller 12 in 2013. I haven't bought it since.
And Diamond.
You just focus on the private barrels since then, and the individual releases that come out, and hope like hell that you can get a Al Young, and hope like hell that you can get one or two of the other limited releases. But by that point, you've got enough.
Mm-hmm.
I like private barrels a lot.
Yeah, I've definitely been more relaxed on the special releases because it's just so difficult here that it's just like I'm not going to pull a Kenny and camp out all night. I just can't do it. I'm okay with missing out on it until I see him get a bottle and I'm like, damn it.
I know I should have gone.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter. You come over here and open the fucking bottles anyway. So
yeah, we opened 3 yesterday.
Got it figured out.
Yeah, we ended up opening that Al Young Four Roses bottle, and it is
special.
It was actually
You
the best.
guys opened it?
Yeah, it was the best of the 3 that we opened, for sure.
Yeah.
One so bad.
So yeah, so at least for me, just kind of like my buying habits, I'm amping up. So I should have just been doing this 2-3 years ago and just been buying shit left and right. Listen, this is a regrettable moment. I mean, I remember 2014 just picking up stags, just GTS is just everywhere, right? I probably had like 8 of them. And it was also the same year that I ended up getting like 5 or 6 Pappy 20s. And I was like, okay, well, I'll sell a few, make up the cost, and I'll just do it again next year. Like, it'll be easy, right? Nope, completely gone. So I should have held on to everything back then. But right now, I'm kind of in a stage where you kind of see the things as you could see some of these as being investments, totally, because that's mean it's shit. Some of this is more valuable than currency at this point. So if I could trade it for Bitcoin, we'll see what happens there too. But
you just need to hit some more ransomware, and then you'll be good with Bitcoin.
Yeah, but I mean, at least for me, like I'm on a pretty big buying spree where I'm just kind of like in an acquisition mode, and I'll acquire and I'll figure out later. Like if I like it, then I'll drink it. If not, then I'll get rid of it. I can gift it. I can do whatever I want with it, right? Even though, as somebody had mentioned, seasoned equals mean you're running out of shelf space, which. Yeah, that's definitely happening with me. Just don't let my wife know too much. But it's definitely a thing where even with that, it was funny. I was in Denver this past week, and I tried to get my wife. We were actually on our way to the airport. And I was like, let's stop by a few liquor stores, and she was like, how about we don't? And just and she's like, it's all cleared out anyway, Kenny. I'm like, yeah, I guess you're right. I was like, well, let's go to one to make sure. And yeah, so like the itch is still there for me, but it's definitely getting tougher and tougher. So yeah, ended up empty-handed.
Physical space has slowed down our hunt. It's literally physical space. Wait till my next blog article, because that actually covers some of that.
Carrie, do you lift those weights behind you?
I did today, bro.
Yeah.
That's what intimidated the people on the tennis match. They're like, oh, geez.
Carrie's been working out.
Yeah.
We don't want to play him.
Right.
They play a good clothes hanger.
Yeah.
I got some bourbon over there.
All right, so let's go ahead and we'll wrap this up. So again, fellas, thanks for coming on the podcast. Once again, for anybody that is listening to this or anybody that is on the live chat, you probably heard some.
Whoa! It was on this laptop.
This is uncut and unfiltered, people. So make sure you join us. This is happening about once every 3 weeks is usually cadence we do it. So make sure you join us for the next one. But I want to let everybody go around the horn one more time. Somebody where you blog at and all that good stuff. Anybody can jump off.
I'll start it off. Okay.
Go.
Blake from bourbonr.com. Find me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. They're all slightly different, but if you just search for BOURBONR, you'll find whatever social media channel you're on. Even Tumblr. I don't put a whole lot on Tumblr, but Instagram gives me the option to post directly to Tumblr. So
what's your MySpace page?
Why not?
That's what I was going for.
Add me on MySpace, Friendster, and AIM. So,
but one thing I want to throw out here, you also have like a Bourbon or Pro membership too, right? Like, so make people aware about that too.
Yeah, so that's I won't give away too much. Still working on that one, but do have the Bourbonr Pro, which gets you in on all the private picks that we do, as well as some other retailer discounts and some other cool stuff we have going. So more info to that coming in the next month or so. But yeah, a lot of cool stuff coming with that.
Is that different than you had didn't you have something like that already, or is this a new thing you're rolling out?
Yeah, no, it's the same program, just with more stuff involved.
More Bourbonr.
Yeah.
More R.
More R's on the Bourbon.
More R. Less E.
Yeah.
So this is Carrie from Suburbia, SEBOURBIA. I do not have a program, but I do take money. So if you want to PayPal me, I'll send you my address. You can help support the hobby that I have, and I will send you some of Nick's samples if you support me through Carry On.
Carry On, there you go.
Carry on.
And follow me because I have some really good blog articles coming up pretty soon, and I'm going to post them on Bourbonr first. So you should definitely join
If they aren't posted by the next roundtable, Carrie passes out free samples to everyone. I think we should have some kind of bet.
Every live listener.
I can't tell you how many times I go to Suburbia and Bourbon Gamer's not doing anything. Last post was in August 2014.
No, that's not true. I do tweet. It takes time to develop material. I just don't write bullcrap. All right, so it takes time for me to put out something.
What was that post? Didn't you do a post on like what is bourbon? And you
yes, that's good. I had a great beginner's post.
That was a fantastic post. I remember that. That was
it's a big long thing about an intro to bourbon. Bourbon 101.
Intro to bourbon. Yeah, Bourbon 101. Yep. If you haven't read it, go check it out. That was fantastic.
Carrie, you're just going to pick between tennis or bourbon, Suburbia.
Yeah, I got to stop doing all this activity stuff. This like sports.
You're spread too thin.
Getting in shape and drinking water. I don't know if y'all noticed, but I did drink some bourbon like during the
A little bit of that.
You have to.
Peer pressure.
Well, I'm Nick from breakingbourbon.com. Find us on social media, same handle. It's all Breaking Bourbon, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and support us. Check us out on Patreon, also Breaking Bourbon. We've got some, I think the coolest thing we're doing is every time we do a release calendar update, we're sending out an email. So I know last month we sent out one huge email. There was a ton of updates, and then there were a couple that were, an email each day for a couple of days in a row. So that changes throughout the year. Fall time, that gets really heavy. So it's just a way, if you really want to stay up on, what's going on with new releases, we try to keep that as updated as possible. So check it out. If you can find in your heart, support us. We're trying to do more with Breaking Bourbon. We got a lot of ideas, so we're really churning what we can do. Probably spending way too much time. I'm sure our wives would say we spend way too much time on it. So check us out.
Yep, and I'm Brian from Sippin' Corn. And if everyone could tweet that they would buy a book next year, that would be helpful in my negotiations.
Yep.
So you can find me at Sippin' Corn and at Sippin' Corn blog. Get reviews and legal history. And again, stay tuned for that book in 2018.
We're gonna have to make some hashtag to make it trending or something like that.
Oh, that'd be great.
Like Brian, Sipping Corn Lives Matter or something like that, right?
Sipping Lives Matter.
Yeah, I like it.
Hashtag real news.
So, fellas, I want to say thank you again for joining the podcast. So this is Kenny, of course. I didn't even mention my name at the very beginning, but I'll let Ryan close it out.
All right, thanks guys for doing this. This is always a good time. And there's Carrie's dog. Yeah, this is always a great time. Good talks, good discussions. I'm looking forward to next time. So if you guys have any show suggestions, feedback, please let us know. And I guess you can find us Bourbon Pursuit on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and Patreon as well. And Kenny, you got anything else?
No, that's it. Yeah, make sure. I gotta say, make sure everybody go to the Facebook page because we're putting all of our bloopers and unedited content all through there. So even bloopers from the last roundtable are showing up like probably tomorrow or next week. So yeah, you can actually get see all the things that if you're not paying attention here on live, then you can actually go see some of the things that happen after
Kenny actually ships stuff. He publishes and ships.
I'm actually doing a fundraiser to find out if Eric is actually real. So if anybody wants to contribute to that.
Hashtag who is Eric?
Yeah.
We call him Erica until we actually confirm this, because I just feel like it's not real.
Actually, my co-author Brian's going to be on the podcast next week. He's going to start writing.
Well, you guys didn't hear about that. The last evolution of a bourbon drinker is you make up friends.
Yeah.
And then you have them write stuff for you.
It's like Mark Twain had 25 different aliases or something. Yeah, it's very similar.
All right, let's go ahead and close it out. Thanks again, and we will see you all next week. All right.
But now for the fun, right?
Yeah.
Now for the trivia.
Bloopers.
On the first view, I thought this was that the recording actually cut off at this point, and I'm like, oh, I can say whatever the heck I want. It's just us 6 in here.
Blake's
Find
back
out
in.
later.
It's like getting his late night jerk session.
Still got the
All right, I'm gonna go see what I have for sampling. I'll be right back.
We're gonna do it again, huh? So let's see. So Kyle Anderson said, so Kenny, did you drink the old Rip 25? No mention in the past podcast. So yeah, this was should be a FOMO for Ryan. So this was the last podcast that we just released with Drew Mayville, who's the master blender at Buffalo Trace. I was sitting there talking to him, and I don't even know how we got on the topic of the old Rip 25, but how it's just, I forget, we were just talking about it. Then all of a sudden he pulls a sample bottle out of his pocket, places it there. And it was
really Eagle Rare.
Yeah.
Or Weller 12.
He probably could have fooled me. But so at the very beginning, the blooper of the podcast at the very beginning of it is actually me sampling the old Rip 25. I didn't actually tell anybody because I don't think that he asked me not to just boast that I'm sitting here drinking old Rip 25 from his free sample batch. But that was when I asked him, I said, so do you think this was like an oak bomb when you did it? And I was like, wait a minute. That sounds really stupid. Like you're a professional. Do you actually say like oak bomb? Is that an industry term, or did we make that up? So,
well, then his answer was kind of like, no, that's pretty close, right?
Yeah, I was in Aruba for that, so I didn't have too much FOMO.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true. But I was also there. I was picking a barrel of Buffalo Trace that day too, so I had a good day there.
Yeah.
That's never
bad. So how was it? It was just okay?
I only had I don't know if you can even see what's left in here. It was just maybe a smidge more than that, right? So it wasn't a whole lot, but it was good. It was actually surprisingly really good. As bad as I would hate to say it is, but it actually was. So, but the one thing I did cut out.
Comment on there. Go ahead.
I'll say the only thing that I did cut out is as he was like, it's a damn shame that nobody's ever going to be able to drink this stuff.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's all going to sit.
Preston Van Winkle did an AMA on Reddit last week. And did y'all read that AMA, by the way?
Oh, I didn't even know what was going on.
I didn't see that.
Oh, my God.
Well,
it was some really, he actually admitted that their rye was much older than 13 years and they just ran out in the tank. But
yeah, he was pretty candid with most of his answers, which was pretty cool to see.
This was Julian? Yeah. Did I miss that?
No, Preston.
Preston, right?
Okay.
Yeah,
but it was a really good game.
Julian knows how to use Reddit, right? So
no. But I just wish someone had said, did you intend to release a product that no one was ever going to actually taste? And nobody actually asked him about that. But they did ask him some tough questions, and he responded back pretty good on a lot of it. It's a pretty interesting read if you guys haven't seen it yet.
With that, I don't put the blame on him. Did they – if you're a brand, I would ride that hype out as long as I possibly could. Did they hype it up even more by making it 25 years and this huge, decorative container and the price? Maybe. But what do you want them to sell it for $35 a bottle and, put it in 100 milliliter bottles? I don't know. I still feel like that's a lose-lose situation.
I'm going to copy the it looks like it went down. Why is it down?
Yeah, I was just looking for it. I'm not seeing it.
It's like they asked him to take it down. It's weird.
Buffalo Trace's PR got a hold of it. That's like one of the only places I've been where the PR lady never leaves the interview.
Oh,
she's
really?
just like just eyeing you the whole time.
Is it Amy?
I think it was that.
Is they got a new girl, Christy, now that takes care of it.
Oh, Christy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
If any answer starts to get a little too outside, it's like,
Oh, here it is. I got it.
bell
Yeah,
ringing.
She did all right.
They're always very nice, but I get why they do it. They don't want to tarnish the brand. I don't know, but any interactions I've had with them have always been good.
See if that link works for you guys.
Kevin says he was looking at the old Charter 8 bottle and says gently matured for 8 seasons in century-old brick warehouses. So I guess it says it on the text on the back or something.
8 seasons. So there's your
So they cut
4
it in
years.
half. Yeah. Well, maybe even less. If they got through the spring season and through the fall, so it could be like 3.5, right?
But I tell you, there's nothing in the regs that allows statement. I mean, it's got to be months or years. It's not seasons. I mean, that's
So this one,
How many people actually
So
know
part-
that there are
part-
two
part of-
bourbon aging seasons?
I didn't.
Yeah, exactly. Just there's summer and winter seasons, and one of their arguments was that the label was approved, so they're off scot-free. And with TTB and lack of staff and approving any shit that comes their way.
Crazy.
Well, I mean, they let everything through whiskey bourbon with no age statement that's aged 18 months. And people don't know. I've talked to distillers who they don't know that's a rule.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one of those ones where it's just like way too much stuff gets through without anybody paying attention. And then they're, because nobody's responsible. It's like, well, it got approved. I guess it was okay.
Yeah, exactly.
And then the TB says, well, we were understaffed. We don't have the time to read every single label. It's like, well, what's the point of having a policing agency if they can't? Although I don't want to be the person who's asking for more regulations in any industry. But,
Well, true enough. Yeah.
Yeah.
True enough.
So one thing that's interesting is somebody said, actually, is it Cindy?
Sign D.
Sign, yeah.
Yep.
The blogger, he's a good dude. I forgot his
Yeah.
But he said it's been reported that the Van Winkle Family Reserve Rye has been 19-year-old tanked rye, and that 2016 was the last of that to be bottled.
I've heard that too.
The tanked rye was considerably older than the 13-year age statement, so the flavor profile will change.
I'm glad I chose the rye over the 15 this year when I was waiting in line.
Right?
Yeah, the rye is fantastic.
I just opened a bottle, my 2016 bottle, a few weeks ago, and it is just so good.
Yeah, I agree.
It's funny because no one goes for it either because it doesn't. I mean, it does say Pappy, but it doesn't have the picture. They're looking for the 15, 20, and 23. So
you need that cigar, which I would take it over the 15 pretty much any day.
Mm-hmm.
Well, not
the
any
rye,
day, but
the rye is the best thing they make besides the
80% of the days. Yeah.
it's my favorite of the group. I like the rye the most.
Yeah. I agree.
I
All
agree.
right, I'm gonna get out of here a little early. Y'all have a good one.
Sounds good.
See ya.
Can't believe nobody's saying that the old rip was awesome. Nobody loves their old rip anymore.
Old Rip was so last year.
Yeah, right. All right, fellas, I'm going to jet to for the evening. I will see y'all on the flip side.
Gentlemen,
Sounds good.
good show.
All right.
Yep.
All right, guys.
We can probably call it. Appreciate it. Appreciate you guys for hopping on.
Boom goes the dynamite.
It was funny. Like we still have like 52 viewers on. I guess people were like, "When's the raffle? Like when's the trivia coming?" So
Did he indicate he was going to get something to give away there?
Yeah, and then he gave up.
Yeah, and then he
Jumped off.
Yeah, he bitched out. So
Tune in next time, right?
yeah.
Next 3 weeks.
Yeah, we can't. Maybe we should figure that out. Maybe we got to talk to some of these brands and be like, we're gonna do giveaways on every round table. You just got to give us.
That's right.
Yeah, they would. Why
Shouldn't
not?
be our stuff. It should be the brands.
Exactly.
Can they ship it too? for us?
I just did that with the Four Roses flasks, so that was
yeah.
nice. So they actually, I just gave them all the addresses today, and they're like, "We'll ship it out tomorrow." I'm like, "Oh, thank you."
That's
So much easier.
Something to do.
Yeah, interns.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so we'll go
Okay.
ahead and close it down. But thank you all again. Appreciate it.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Next time.
Kenny.
Good night.
See you guys.
Good night.